My goodness. Welcome back, peoples. Oh, Lord Almighty, have mercy. Ooh, la la. Where's my chair that weak? Oh, damn. Oh, dang. Yeah, this much fall off. Okay. Welcome, people. Welcome back. Welcome. If it's for the first time, welcome. And this for the second time or whatever time. This is my first time actually going live on this channel. And I have not gone live in what I would say is a very long time. 2 years to say the minimum. But for this channel, I just thought, you know what? We're gonna start doing live broadcasts from now on. Mainly because it's much easier to do these things when it's live than when it's recorded and edited and all that. So in this way, it's kind of in a way of like keeping me accountable to doing daily, hopefully to do daily broadcasts or to do weekly broadcasts. Um, but it's mainly about us talking about sports, and at some point we will talk about stuff that is not sport related. But you know what? I'll try to keep it in the areas of PG, so there will be no f bomb thrown. There will be no any. I'll try as much as possible to keep it clean, to keep it no vulgar involved. But I didn't introduce myself. My name is Evans, and obviously, welcome to Evans Talks Football. Make sure you follow, make sure you subscribe, make sure you do whatever it is to help me and to grow my community on this platform. Um, um, I need to get to a certain level, and my main goal right now is obviously not to ask people for money at some point. Obviously, I know it's for most people, it's that goal when they get to that point in on YouTube streaming or whatever, their main goal on getting monetized is for getting gifts and all that, which is why I left Twitch because I used to, if you know me for a long time, I used to stream on Twitch as Son of Gargamel. I used to do gaming there, and I left because I felt so bad. Even though I was monetized, I didn't want to ask for money in terms of gifts and all that. I'm just not that type of guy. But if I can earn, revenue from ads and other streams without asking people for money, that would be like the perfect thing. But look, we live today. We're here to talk about. I've got a bunch of stuff I want to talk about. I've got a bunch of stuff I need to get my chest. I need to get things off my chest. And today we're gonna find out what those things are, what's laying on my heart, and what I would like to get out there. And of course, this is the first stream. We're gonna try to keep everything as good as possible. I will, move around as much as I can, and I'll try to cover as much as I can. I can't see your chat, so keep that in mind for this particular first stream because I'm actually still testing this. I want to see how things go, so I won't be able to see the chat, but I will, whenever I do see the chat, I will be able to respond to it. But yeah, so I don't know where to start anyway. I think the main thing I want to start talk about is obviously since it's Evans Talks Football and I'm Evans, I think the opening thing we need to start talking about football. And the main thing that has been on my chest for a very long time, actually for the past decade, almost a decade and a half, because I'm a Manchester United supporter. I'm not a Manchester United fan. I'm a Manchester United supporter. There's a difference. There's two different things, being a supporter and a fan. You know, and if I can't justify it for you right now, but if you wanna go look it up, figure out what's the difference between a fan and a supporter. But I want to talk about the stuff we've been going through as supporters of this particular team because we've gone through a lot of changes. And when I say changes, I'm not meaning in terms of like structural changes, I mean changes of coaches, managers. We've set through, since Alex Ferguson, we've said and watched David Moyes come into the team and failing. We've come to see Louis van Gaal, after winning the World Cup, coming to Manchester United, failing. We've seen the likes of what's his name, Ralph Ragnick, coming to Manchester United, failing. We've seen the likes of top class managers like Jose Mourinho coming from after winning Champions Leagues and leagues with Real Madrid and Inter and Chelsea, and they come to Manchester United and they failed. We've seen the likes of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, club legends, come in and fail. We've seen the likes of Erik ten Hag come into Manchester United after winning a league in Ajax with Ajax in Amsterdam, coming to Manchester United 2 or 3 seasons, failed also. We're seeing the likes of Ruben Amorim trying to navigate with whatever is left for him to pick up, and we're having to end the season maybe at 16th. So which means if we don't win the Europa, there is no Champions League for next season. There's no European football next season because we finished at the bottom of the bottom. And this is the first time since 1989. I don't know if it's 1989 or 87, we've been this low. And to put into perspective, I was not born yet. That the last time we were this low. So, and I'm looking at the players that we got. And when they play for Manchester United, they fail, they fumble so bad. But when they go to these other clubs, they get better. Now that leads me to think either the players are trash in Manchester United and they go to the other place and they get better. So it's not a thing of like we don't have quality. We do have quality. But I think there's a certain level of pressure when it comes to playing for Manchester United because it's such a legendary team. And when you watch certain players like Scott McTominay, who was about to win a Scudetto with Napoli, in Manchester United, he was just fumbling around. He was just wandering around. We didn't know what he was playing. Was he playing midfield? Was he playing strike? He was just playing all over the place. We have Anthony Langer, went to Nottingham Forest, not the biggest club in the world, less pressure. All of a sudden, he can manage to bag doubles, hat tricks, and all that. We've got the likes of Anthony going to Real Betis and being able to perform and do magical things and being the top player in Real Betis. We've got the likes of, I know I'm missing someone else, Marcus Rashford going to Aston Villa. He had a glimpse of European football this season, but at least they got knocked out anyway, Aston Villa. But all of a sudden he's gotten better playing for Aston Villa. You look at Jadon Sancho, that's a quite special case. I can't explain for that. Because even after playing for Manchester United and they went to Chelsea, there's nothing there. But could we think like, is there something wrong with Manchester United or is there something wrong with the players? We definitely have found that there's nothing wrong with the players. But I think it's the mentality part, that aspect of it, that's missing. Because even if you check in the past, when Alex Ferguson was managing the entire club, you used to have like guys who were like watching the clubs, who were watching, the pubs. They would call him if they see a Manchester United player getting outside piss drunk. They would alert him like, I saw your player, he's right here, or that. So he had strict control of the club. And what we're seeing now is when players like Rashford, we've seen him in so many occasions, and some of them, they were not even damaging, but just the case that he's a Manchester United player, he's the face of the club at that time, he was met with so much scrutiny. And I think a lot of it, when you play the game, you can only do so much, but I think it comes with a lot of mental pressure. And I think that's one thing these players couldn't handle, the mental pressure of actually playing for Manchester United. I think the mental pressure for playing for Manchester United is so much higher because upon arriving, there's so much expected of you. It's not like you're playing for like a lower tier team and they're just trying to survive. So you get in there, they're just like, we're just trying to get there. But when you're playing for Manchester United, such a legendary club, and to get in there, first of all, you need to have a winning mentality. Secondly, you need to have tough skin. Thirdly, we need to have the ability to ignore or forms of bad criticism. And fourth, you need to be able to handle media and toxic pundits and toxic fans and supporters, because we're living in an era now where everyone's got access to the internet. Everyone can talk about football. Everyone can criticize you. If you go on TikTok, I can scroll like 10 times and I'll guarantee you I'll run into like 3 or 4 people talking about football. And that's kind of like the landscape we're in. And that's what football is going to. That's the side we're at. It's a digital era. So everyone who thinks they have an opinion, including myself in this, will have an opinion. And I have a lot of opinions when it comes to this. So I think there's nothing wrong with the players. I don't think there's nothing wrong with the club. I think it's just the necessary pressure. They don't know how to handle that pressure because it can be too much for them. That's why they're flourishing in other clubs. Like, give me other reason why they can flourish in other clubs than Manchester United. And what's one thing all those other clubs have in common than Manchester United? It's more relaxed. There isn't pressure. They just, if they sit, like Nottingham Forest is sitting fourth, then they're just happy being there. Manchester United, if they're sitting fourth, they're not happy being there. The supporters, they want you to be first to win the league. So there's a levels to this pressure. When they play for Aston Villa, the supporters, they're just happy being in the top 4 or top 5 or just playing Europa. When you play for Manchester United, just playing Europa is not good enough. You need to be playing Champions League. And just playing Champions League is not even enough in itself. You need to win the Champions League. When playing the Premier League, you need to be top 5 or top 4. That's the level of pressure you are when you're playing for Manchester United or even managing Manchester United. It's that type of pressure. So I don't think, not everyone is made for that pressure. And I think it all has to do with the level of freedom a lot of players have now. The agents have more control, the players have more control. It's minimized the level of control for the managers. And they're so dependent on star players. Like, do you all remember like when David Beckham thought he was the biggest star ever and Alex Ferguson got rid of him? It's like, it's a thing of like, if you're not matching the culture, you're free to go. Like, the only manager who has this same mentality is probably Pep Guardiola. Because, check this, like Cancelo thought he had a big head. And mid-season, even though this guy had been the first player, the first team player, the first starting 11 in every single match, he did not hesitate to send him on loan to Bayern Munich. Like, one dispute and the guy was gone. I think that's the level of ruthlessness these managers need to have, because I think if you treat every player like a star player, it will come back and bite you. Because now you're just dealing with stars. You're trying to maintain the stars. You're not trying to maintain the team. You're not trying to build the team. You're just trying to maintain the club, the player. But I also don't blame the managers for doing that, because they're also under a lot of pressure with the owners of the clubs. Because one thing you have to think about is like, the club is also a business, and they make money through selling the sales of jerseys, through the sales of like merchandise, Like one example, like when Ronaldo came to Manchester United, do you think that was like, oh yeah, we're gonna build a team around Ronaldo? There was no way we were gonna build a team around someone who was like 36 years old. His prime has left him already, disappeared, vanished with him. And there's no way we're gonna build a team around him. And what happened when he came back? We saw Manchester United sold the most amount. They even broke records just for selling like Ronaldo tops. So most of the clubs, and I think I particularly blame the downfall for Manchester United on wanting to have more money, monetary value, sales. And I think that's what's driving it. And the thing is, I don't blame them. At the end of the day, if you invest money in something, you're expecting a return. Whether be it a sacrifice of something, but you're expecting a return. And I don't blame the Glazers. I don't like them, but I don't blame them. At the end of the day, it's their club. They invested money. We didn't invest money, we only invested emotions and our time watching, which was entertainment. We pay every month for subscriptions to watch and play. And the Glazers, they have their money on the line. So I don't blame them if they want to commercialize more on everything. But at the end of the day, football is a business. Whether we like it or not, we don't have money in it. Aside from the money we pay DSTV and all these other Netflix subscriptions to watch the game with Showmax, but the Glazers have billions in Manchester United. And we should just be happy that we're able to still watch Manchester United. Yes, we want him out, but if something is making money for you, like think about it yourself, would you get rid of it? Like it's just a genuine question. If something is bringing you money, would you get rid of it? Would you want to lose control over it? We should just be grateful that we're able to still watch the game. Because at the end of the day, it's only our emotions involved in this thing. It's not like it's a train smash for some of us. Of course, we loyal supporters, but we don't have any financing involved in this. So I think we need to like look football now is different from the old days. We need to look at it from different sides, from different angles, and see what as supporters we can get and take away from the entire play, and what we can learn from every single game, and understand that this is a business. At some point, if your employee is not doing what they're supposed to do and they're not delivering, then by all means you can fire them. And it's no different with Manchester United in sacking managers. Hold on, I need to get something quickly.